course they take the word of the companies. Look at the people that they had in the Interior Department, people who are still there, taking bribes and everything else from the oil companies. The system is corrupt. What Obama should have done is come in, got rid of all those people, given them jobs in the library if he couldn't fire them, and get some real control over these precious resources, despite the avarice and the desire of people like BP to control this important resource.
Okay, Ray McGovern, stay there. Let's come back and get your breakdown of where you see Afghanistan and Pakistan going, and then to the West, what your intel is from all your sources. Is it green light to go into Iran? Who will hit U.S. operation with Israel? Israel goes it alone. We'll talk about that and a lot more, plus the North Korea situation. I can't wait to get into North Korea and see what Ray McGovern thinks about that. All I see is headlines everywhere about possible nuclear war and shelling Seoul and the disputed areas with the ships, and China's in Bloomberg saying we may shield North Korea, and the Pentagon saying they're ready for war. The war was never terminated. It's been a ceasefire for 50-plus years. Going back to Ray McGovern, this is a short segment, long segment coming up. Ray, when I interrupted you earlier with some other questions about why they're there, where do you see Afghanistan going? I mean, 2 weeks ago, they said 1,000 drones are being dispatched for Pakistan and Afghanistan, and that now they don't have to identify somebody before they kill them. Just if you look like you're a terrorist, kind of like those kids in Baghdad in the minivan looked like terrorists, and reporters with cameras look like terrorists. I mean, this sounds like an incredible escalation. It sounds like LBJ in 1966.
Well, funny you should mention that, Alex, because I was thinking of this wonderful new aircraft that had been developed around then. It was called a B-52. And, that was going to solve all our problems in Vietnam. What we're going to do is bomb the hell out of the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And LBJ came to us intelligence types and said, these blue-suited generals are telling me this will do it. What do you think? Now, we suppressed a laugh. Having known about the effect of aircraft in World War II, and knowing that it simply increases the resistance of populations like the Vietnamese, and we waited 2 days, and then we gave them an estimate. We used to do national intelligence estimates. Now they're not done very much anymore. And we told the president, look, Mr. President, Ho Chi Minh is not the kind of person who's going to give up under how many B-52s or how heavy the bombs they drop. And besides, Mr. President, you should be aware that the Ho Chi Minh Trail doesn't look anything like I-81 or I-95 or the George Washington Memorial Parkway. You can't even see it from the air in many respects. It's about 181 trails, Mr. President. Ain't no way that B-52s are going to do the job. Now, we were right, of course, but the corollary there is the president doesn't have to heed intelligence. He just didn't want to lose a war. And so he said, well, let's try these blue-suited guys. They might be right. And so he tried it, and we know the answer. Now, similarly, here we are over Afghanistan. We have this new weapon, which most people don't realize, Alex, and I knew about this when it was being developed. It was developed for a specific purpose, and that purpose only, and that was to give us a hovering capability where we could monitor developments on the ground more than 2 times a day, 2 times a day being when the satellites would pass over these areas, okay? Now, we got this thing developed. It worked beautifully, and then it was shown to some general in the Pentagon, and he said, I don't want to see the tank. I want to destroy the tank. Put some missiles on that bird. Therefore, you get predators, you get reapers with Hellfire missiles, and you get an awful lot of disenchantment and hostility out of the people in Pakistan in particular that are being bombed to hell by these things. It's looked on as a very cowardly thing.
That's right. At a primitive level, having like Terminator machines out of the sky bombing you, and it's literally 22-year-old zit-faced kids in trailers thousands of miles away in a video game setup And go ahead. You got a wedding. We think some guy's got a gun in there. Everybody's got guns in those countries. I mean, it's a tribal, red-blooded type area. And then they kill 100 innocent people. Now you've created 1,000 enemies because their entire family and every cousin they've got who may have loved America back in the 80s, they're ready to kill. They're ready to trade their life to kill Americans. And so the idea is pump more Americans in.
That's exactly right. And, people have asked me, these Hellfire missiles, are they accurate? And I say, well, yeah, they are. They're extremely accurate. They're more accurate than anything we've had up till now. But the question is, how do you identify the targets? Now, you can really tell what a militant is from 30,000 feet, can't you? Give me a break. You can really find out who the Taliban and the Al-Qaeda types are by asking their neighbors who have asking people's neighbors who have unsatisfied grudges against them. The targets are the name of the game, and if you get targets from people who have grudges or from 22-year-olds looking from 30,000 feet up, you got a real problem. What I find really telling, Alex, is these Reapers and these Predators, interesting the labels they give these aircraft, they're controlled by these young NCOs out at Creech Air Force Base near Las Vegas.
Stay there, sir. We got a break. Long segment. We'll go back to Creek Air Force Base and talk about the Predators and drones with Ray McGovern, CIA analyst, briefer to the presidents. Very honored to have him here with us today. He's got a new article out. We'll put that on screen as well. Stay with us. Okay, Ray, I've been adding my points. You got cut off by the break. You were getting into, they're out in Nevada. It's one of the main command centers. I've just seen it on the news. People in trailers, and he's like, it showed one of the young men. He goes, I love video games. Now I control the Predator. And it showed him sitting there, and they're going, okay, you've got clearance. Hit him. Go ahead and give it to him. And I mean, just it's so bizarre to see this. Break it down for us.
Well, let me put it this way. The chaplains out there at Creech Air Force Base, they're working overtime because some of these young fellas have a conscience. They do their work during the day. They go home and have dinner with their families, and they think, the wife says, well, how'd things go at work today? And they can't quite say, well, we killed, we shot Hellfire missiles at 30 groups, and we're not real sure. So, long story short, these chaplains are actually being visited regularly by these poor NCOs who are ordered to do this kind of thing and have it on their conscience, to their credit. The other guys are the ones in Langley, Virginia, who are working for the CIA. They're the ones that have the joysticks there, and they're the ones that fly over Pakistan. Why? Well, because we're literally, or at least technically not at war with Pakistan, so it has to be the CIA, it can't be the Air Force. Well, it's the same sort of thing. People who identify these targets, either from people who may have grievances against this particular village, or people who think they see militants, whatever they look like, as distinguished from wedding parties, from 30,000 feet. So, the whole thing is an indication of the lack of leadership in the military of our country as well as in the political side, because you can't win a war this way. All you can do is alienate the affections of people. And what I keep telling people is that in Pakistan, if you take the population of Pakistan, 165, 170 million, okay, that's 40 million more than the population of Afghanistan, Iran, and Iraq put together. Besides, of course, Pakistan has nuclear weapons. Now, I would ask you, which country should be the most important not to alienate the population in?
Well, sir, we've seen Pakistani leaders, and we've got an article up on Infowars.com that's got the newscast and even ABC News, with Pakistani leaders saying, look, your government is running a lot of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, and they're using it to destabilize our country. And and that's what Hamid Gul, who I was bizarrely contacted by a year and a half ago, and he came on this show, and it made national news when he did. And he said that they're killing these tribal groups to actually get them up in arms. And that's what Gerald Celente, the trends forecaster, says. He says, look, the U.S. government isn't going to have to stage terror attacks as a pretext to get the American people to give their liberty up. You kill enough Pakistanis who are tribal, they're going to come over here and they're going to blow stuff up.
Well, we've seen the effects of that, haven't we? You know, when Bush said we have to kill them over there before they come here, well, you know, that was ridiculous in the extreme. What we need to do is figure out what's really going on in those countries, why they hate us. You know, it ain't because of our democracy or of our freedom. Now, with respect to the Pakistanis, you can see U.S. high-level pronouncements say, we're working on the Pakistanis to show them, to demonstrate that their greatest threat is not from India. No, it's from these insurgents, these militants, these people that are in the tribal areas, right?